Hey, so originally I had a countdown, but I'm tired. I have to go to work in about an hour, so I'm awake. And yeah, I want to do something new with videos. I want to do something new. I don't mind the blue light. I don't know what that's for. It's for the bugs, I think. Anyways, I want to do something new, and I want to talk about comic books. I want to be like, I'm practically becoming a teacher when it comes to like nerd stuff like Batman, Superman, anything really, superheroes. And don't mind like the light. Oh, dang, there's light coming from right here. I'm watching Batman. Actually, hold up. I want to show y'all. Sorry, I have it plugged in. Batman. Anyways, I gotta plug this back in. Sorry, loves. Anyways. Yes, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you loves. Anyways, I want to talk about Batman. I want to talk about like Godzilla and stuff. And, you know, I feel very comfortable talking to a phone. You know, brings you comfort. I do wish to have some feedback, you know. I want to do something new too. I want to talk about like dinosaurs. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I want to talk about like dinosaurs, and I want to talk about stuff I'm really knowledgeable about, because recently I don't really have people to talk to outside. That's good. So I'm practically becoming a teacher for nerd stuff. My phone keeps doing that. I'm sorry. I have to constantly do that. Now, the first topic, I guess, it depends if you guys like it or not. Just like tell me, or just put in the comments, or just like it to show like your support. I'm talk about comics. Yeah, it's not that much notes. I want to talk about the ages of comics. Yes, there is such thing as ages for comics. It sorta expands to 4. The reason why I say sorta, because the Bronze and the Modern Age are practically the same thing, with some differences, of course. Now, I gotta like rush just because I already wasted 2 minutes of your time. Yeah, if you're actually gonna watch the full entire like video, it's very long probably. I thank you, and I love you. I'm sorry. Now, okay, so these ages consist of the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and the Modern Age. You know, I already said it. Now, I'm gonna go in a little detail on all of them, not like an hour long detail, because we'll be here all day, for being honest. I'm sorry, back issues. Anyways, yes. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Let's get started. So, the Golden Age took place during 1938 to the 1950s. Now, this was obviously the first introduction towards your famous superheroes that you all love. Batman, superheroes and villains. Batman, Joker, Wonder Woman, I don't know her villains, I'm sorry. Flash, Captain Cold, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Spider-Man, Green Goblin, you know, all those guys. Now, if you know anything about history, this time period was not very special. Not only it was special for the wrong reasons, but practically what I'm saying is this time period took place during World War II and the Great Depression. Probably one of the most desperate times in the United States, if you know anything about history. I'm sorry, that was stupid. I'm an idiot. Now, obviously, people are going to read comics. Kids, teenagers, and even soldiers. I mean, some teens were soldiers. So, the point of the comics was to give hope for a better tomorrow, for something really. Whether that be the American dream or Britain, whatever. Now, obviously, if you know anything about history and war and any media, it turns to propaganda. There was a lot of propaganda. The most famous one was probably, I think it was Superman holding Hitler and some random Japanese soldier. This was also the age where Batman had a gun and killed people, by the way. If you guys actually want me to talk about that, I would love to talk about that. Anyways, but this was weird because it wasn't only about like superheroes. There was also sexual content within these comics. Obviously, these were separate from each other, but still, nonetheless. And some of these were even racist, obviously, because this took place during the somewhat early 1900s. Now, because of all these controversies, and we can't really show our kids this, during the 1950s, a law practically was passed called the Comic Code Authority. The Comic Code Authority was practically to protect the innocence of the youth. Where have you heard that before? And they blame everything on the comic books. They blame the homosexuals on Batman and Robin. I'm not lying, they did. I'm sorry, God. Weirdos for sure. Now, this was obviously called Silver Age, but it was also called the Age of Innocence. Obviously, people like said to protect the innocence of the youth. That didn't work out well. Anyways, this took place during 1956 to 1970. Now, this was very campy. You probably know about all this stuff. Shark repellent spray from Batman, the laughing gas. Laughing gas was introduced in 1945 in issue Detective Comics. That's a whole nother thing. Anyways, the fake gun that Joker has, it's like the gun and it's like bang. Stupid. The Batmobile was the thing. Jokermobile, that's what I meant. Jokermobile. The Jokermobile. Thanos had a helicopter in this age. The Spiromobile. Everyone had a vehicle. Your mom had probably a vehicle. Your grandparents had a vehicle. Obviously. Hopefully. Now, this introduced way more campy humor. Like how Joker practically was an actual clown. He didn't kill people. He didn't... Like, all the superheroes didn't do anything. And I mean it because the superheroes, instead of fighting, their villains, fought aliens and monsters, which didn't work out for DC, but for Marvel, they quickly adapted. And I'm sorry, I have to do this anyways. And this introduced the most famous villain, Spider-Man villain, Venom. If you know anything about Venom, thank the Comic Code Authority for that. Oops, sorry. But then 20 years later, people just got bored of it. Then in 1970, everyone practically had ignored this code and went back to the way more darker roots. This age was called the Bronze Age, which started in 1970 to 1985 supposedly. Technically, it's still here, but that's a whole nother thing. Now, they went back to addressing social issues instead of... Now, if you know anything about history, this was during the Cold War, which, wasn't really a war, but this was the time and age where everyone was anti-war. Unless you're old, then you're probably pro-war. Anyways, this went back to a more traditional dark roots, like I said. And this was the most famous comics. Introduced one of the most famous comics, like Iron Man becoming an alcoholic. Yeah. Yeah. this one, and this introduced Gwen dying. So you got the Bronze Age to thank for the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, the big difference between the Bronze Age and the Golden Age of comics was that the Bronze Age focused way more on the psychology of a character, whether that be a Joker, Batman, Wonder Woman, anyone. Now, one of my favorite comic books from the Bronze Age was Batman on Sirius Earth, on Sirius. I think it was on Sirius Earth, on Sirius House, on Sirius Earth, right? Something like that. I really didn't want to talk about that in a separate video. I hope you guys like this because I want to talk about that book. I want to talk about that book. It is one of the best Batman books other than Dark Knight Returns and Absolute Batman in my opinion. Anyways, what do I mean by like emphasizes the character psychology? For example, I'm gonna give you an example. I keep doing that. So, anyways, for example, in 1973, a comic was introduced called The Five-Way Revenge, which focuses on Joker breaking out of Arkham Asylum like for the 100th time and killing 5 people because they ratted him out. This comic emphasizes the Joker's insanity and his mental instability. Now, sorry, sleeve. Let's see. Anyways, yeah. I'm thinking about like Batman. Oh man, that's a good comic too. That's right. One comic that did focus on Batman, if you love Batman like me, was, I forgot what it was called. It was, anyways, this comic focused on more Batman and his cold, no-kill rule and his fear. It emphasizes on his fear, what it does to normal civilians, and how Batman's fear could be used to silence the innocents into doing whatever they want. Mostly kids in this book. Yeah, it's pretty dark. Anyways, let's get on the bright side. The modern age. I don't know why it's called the modern age. Why we have to have a separate, like, actual category for this. But anyways, the modern age takes place during 1985 to now. Obviously now. There is some, like, differences though. Which, you know, it's, looking at comics nowadays, I don't really see a difference. Anyways, this comics during the early 2000s turned us way away from the social issues, mostly because of some tragedies that happened, famous ones I'm not going to mention because I'm talking about comics for Pete's sake. And the comic industry became more marketed. What do I mean by that? Anyways, what I mean by that is that comics became way more attached towards movies, TV shows, and even video games. And I already wrote it down. Now, do I think these two time periods make any difference to Modern Age and Bronze Age? No. I don't feel like it does, since, you know, there are still some comic books like Dark Knight Rises, which does cover a lot of darker topics and Batman psychology, like the Bronze Age, like I just, you know, like I put on my notes. And still, there's still comic books to this day that are, you know, covering way more focused on, you know, a character's psychology and stuff. Yeah, that's practically all I have for today. Again, if you just give me your feedback, honestly. Like, I don't care if you don't, like, show your support if you, by either liking the video or commenting like 5-star emoji. No, like, honestly speaking, if you do like it, like, give me some recommendations of what you guys want me to talk about. And again, you guys are, I'm testing the waters with you guys, because I trust you, you know. And again, if you're watching this and you watch the whole thing I love you. Not romantically, like as a friend, obviously. Yeah, I thank you for watching the whole video. That actually that truly means a lot to me. More ways than you may think. Yeah, that's roughly all I have to say. Good morning. If I don't see you tomorrow, good morning, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Have a nice day. I hope. Yeah, have a nice day. That's all I have to say. Bye.